so we're going to open some libations. So for anyone that isn't aware what libations are, put your hand up if you don't. Some do, some don't, okay? So a libation is a form of prayer. It's a form of affirmation, a form of intention setting, and it's the oldest known form of prayer. It originates in West Africa and is carried on in lots of traditions around the world. So I'm out of breath from drumming. So it's an ancient practice, and it's a practice that spans any and all spiritual traditions. So whether you are Christian, Muslim, whether you have no faith whatsoever, you can partake in this at the level that is meaningful to you. Because we all have hope. We all have dreams. We all look back to the past to learn and to gain wisdom. So whatever level you relate to this, try to bring your whole self into it. So we're going to start for a moment. I'm going to invite you to close your eyes. And just for a moment, drop the shoulders. Soften the belly. Feel the feet beneath your ground. And take a deep cleansing breath. And on the out breath, experience the sensation of release. Coming home to your body. Coming home to the earth beneath us. Many decolonial thinkers feel that there's a spiritual sickness in the West because we've lost touch with our bodies, we've lost touch with the earth and with nature, and we've lost touch with our ancestors. So at the start of this amazing, beautiful and powerful festival, I want us to begin by connecting with ourselves first. Feel the rise and fall of your breath, the beating of your heart, the warm energy flowing through your body. Feel the ground beneath you and send roots deep down into the earth. Know your deep connection to all that is, to all that came before, and all that is still to come. And orientating yourself to the space. Notice what you can hear. Subtle sounds of movement in this room and beyond. The buzz of electricity and lights, breaths, some coughs and movements. Maybe you can even notice the sensation of air against your skin. Now we turn to connect with our ancestors. Picture your parents' faces. Your parents may still be alive or in spirit. See their faces. See behind them your grandparents. Behind them, your great-great-grandparents. Some of you might need to start to use your imagination or draw on your intuition at this point. Maybe you've seen old photographs. But imagine who they were. Imagine the lives they lived. Yes, the hardships they had to endure, the sacrifices they made, but also their joy, their strength, their resilience, their connection to the earth, to spirit, to life. Picture behind them your great, great, great grandparents. And back again, and back again. Generation by generation. Each one of us sat in this room represents the love of thousands. And we can draw on that love, we can draw on that support, that guidance, and that power to remember who we are. To remember our connection to ourselves, to the earth, to what came before, our responsibility to the future. It's in this spirit that I begin a short libation ceremony. If you want to keep your eyes closed, you can. Or if you prefer to open them, feel free to do so. I honor first the Most High. Known by many names across cultures and traditions. Known as God, the universe, Olodumare, Bon Dieu, Nyame, Jah, Yahweh, Allah, and many other names. Honoring whatever you hold most high. Honoring the source, the creative energy from which all else flows. We ask you to watch over this festival, to infuse it with love and energy. Ashe. Honoring the ancestors. Ancestors, we thank you for the lives you lived, the choices you made, the sacrifices you made, so that we could be here now. We ask you to walk with us and to support us, to guide us. The world is in a difficult place at the moment, politically, socially. There is much division. Ancestors, guide us to know the wise path forward for the healing and collective liberation of all peoples, especially oppressed peoples all over the world. Ashe. Honoring and giving thanks for the existence of events like this. Events where even in the midst of the confusion and division that is around the world at the moment, we can come together, we can unite, we can connect, we can bridge our differences, we can celebrate culture, we can celebrate love, we can celebrate understanding across divides. We ask that we can find joy and celebration in dance and music and cultural celebration over this weekend. Ashe. Is there anyone else who would like to make your own libations before we close this down? You're very welcome if anyone would like to come up and to say your own prayer, your own words of libation. So we end with 1 minute of silence for the ancestors, and in particular for those who came via the Middle Passage, for those who were forcibly taken across the oceans, those who survived the belly of the ship, those who toiled and labored and sacrificed their lives. We give thanks for them and we honor them now with 1 minute of silence. Thank you, and ending with a moment of gratitude, bringing to mind everything that makes life beautiful. Bring to mind everything that brings us joy. Bring to mind the small yet important things that make our lives worth living. Even in the midst of difficulty and suffering, we have many, many blessings. Think about some of those blessings now. Moving through the space of Florida water. Asking that this space and this festival be cleansed, be purified, be charged with Ashe and positive life force energy for the good of all. Close this libation ceremony with divine love and protection, and ask that these libations, these prayers, and all of your heartfelt wishes and intentions spoken in the silence of your own heart, may they be heard, May they be realized. May they be embodied. May all people be free. May healing and collective liberation spread from this event and from all of our lives. Ashe. Thank you.
Always happens to me. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to African Roots 2025 Equal Measures. We've done it again, Karen. Just for housekeeping, we have fire escape here. There's a fire escape in the studio, and there's 4 fire escapes upstairs. So should anything happen and we don't have a fire alarm planned, because it's Saturday. Okay, without further ado, I'm going to hand over to Karen to introduce the day.
Good morning, everyone. Just a little bit later than usual, but then it wouldn't be our show without that, would it? Thank you all for being here. Much respect, and thank you to Alan for that amazing libation to really set the scene. Probably better than I'm going to, actually, because all of what he's saying is very much about what we're going to be talking about over these next couple of days, how we're going to practice, how we're going to kind of witness and experience dance culture in all its different forms, through conversations, through talks, and through participation, through workshops. Could I just have my next slide, please? So in April of every year, I don't know if you know this, on April the 29th of every year, we have International Dance Day. And what was quite interesting for this particular year of 2025, there's always an artist who is brought in to bring the message of what the International Day will bring. And interestingly, it was Mikhail Baryshnikov. And I don't know if people know Mikhail Baryshnikov. He's a ballerina, performer, director, actor. And many years ago, he defected from Russia to Canada and then on to America, because he couldn't bear to be living in a country that literally didn't enable him to dance the way he wanted to or to create his work. And obviously, with what's going on in the world, as Alan has already mentioned, the fact that his original birthplace is now war-torn, he felt it really appropriate to say these few words. And I just want to read them to you, because I think it just sets the scene for us within Equal Measures. It's often said that dance can express the unspeakable. Joy, grief, and despair become visible, embodied expressions of our shared fragility. In this dance can awaken empathy, inspire kindness, and spark a desire to heal rather than harm, especially now as hundreds and thousands endure war, navigate political upheaval, and rise in protest against injustice. Honest reflection is vital. It's a heavy burden to place on the body, on dance, on art, yet art is still the best way to give form to the unspoken. And we can begin by asking ourselves, where is my truth? How do I honour myself and my community? Whom do I answer to? So that was from Mikhail. And I guess those questions are what I've been asking a lot of people to present to this festival. I've been doing a lot of reading lately about the unequal side of our lives, the fact that actually, as small a country as the UK is, we are one of the biggest countries where our society is totally unequal. And that's to do with lack of wealth, which then impacts on our well-being, on our ability to educate ourselves, on our ability to access particular ways of being to ensure that we've got a better life. And so for me, it was really appropriate when we were looking at African Roots this time to call it Equal Measures and to look at how we sort of level the field a little bit and how we bring especially African Caribbean creatives to the space to kind of share their truth. So that's what we're looking at today. I'm not going to go on and on. I'm going to stop there because I'm going to introduce, because a lectern is about to appear like magic. A lectern is going to appear like magic as I'm talking. because I'm going to introduce Marlon D. Sims. Now, I'm really delighted to have Marlon here, and I'll explain who he is in a moment when I bring him to the floor. Because the National Dance Theatre Company of Jamaica have been coming to the Blackie on and off over years. So it's wonderful to have him back in this space. We're using African Roots really as a vehicle for the Blackie to re-establish itself as a centre for kind of black dance development, really. And in 2027, the Blackie, the space that you're in, will be 60 years old, and it will be a much bigger event as we start to build to that, and we hope to bring the company back for that. This year, I really wanted to do something slightly different, and so I thought, well, it'd be really interesting maybe to have a lecture rather than just a keynote, to have somebody experienced to kind of really set the scene for us over these next 2 days. And I'd just like to take a quick opportunity to thank my working group on this, because I don't do this on my own. I'm a freelancer, and I curate this event for the Blackie. But Andrea, who you've just met, is the Chief Operating Officer, and as part of that, I also work with Beverly Glean, who's in the audience, who is the Artistic Director of Irie Dance Theatre, that's on this evening, Maxine Brown, who's developing the Download Community Showcase tomorrow, Miguel who has brought Lavelle to the company, and he was part of my steering group, as well as John Simmett, who introduced me to Marlon. So everybody's played a role in bringing this event together. So I'm really delighted to bring to the floor Marlon D. Sims. So Marlon is a Jamaican choreographer, educator and art administrator. He's got a really long CV, and I'm not going to keep going on it. I'm sure he'll touch base with some of it in a moment. But for nearly 3 decades, and when you see him, he really doesn't look old enough. For nearly 3 decades of service to the cultural and educational landscape of the Caribbean. He presently serves as Dean of the School of Dance at the Edna Manley College of the Visual and Performing Arts, and he is Artistic Director and Chief Executive Officer of the National Dance Theatre Company of Jamaica, where he oversees both artistic vision and organisational operations, and that's one huge job. So can we please give a warm welcome? We're probably going to switch over the slides, thanks Anthony, as we bring Marlon to the floor.
To give the inaugural Black Dance Lecture. I'm really very happy to be here. This, in fact, is my second time here in Liverpool. The first was in 2012 with Barry Moncrief, who was the artistic director at the time. We're going to bring up a slide of Uncle Barry because we have to pay tribute to Uncle Barry. And I'll tell you a little bit about Uncle Barry. Uncle Barry is the kindest soul I've ever met. I'm not lying. I think he was a walking angel. He was very compassionate. He was very giving. He would literally give you the shirt off his back. He never said an unkind word to anyone and always stayed very calm, even in the middle of a crisis. And we loved him dearly. Now he has joined the Dancestors, and we give thanks for his contribution. Now, when we came to Liverpool at the time, it was a reunion of sorts. I'd heard many stories about Liverpool from Bert Rose. And Bert Rose, another uncle of mine, and he was very spirited and passionate about the NDTC. He was a founding member. And let me tell you something. You don't want to make a mistake with Uncle Bertie and the legacy of the NDTC. He kept us all in line. Very strong, very assertive, highly creative. I think he was a genius. And I don't think we celebrated his genius enough. And he gave everything to the NDTC. And in the early years, they did everything. The infrastructure that is there now as the NDTC did not exist. And so they had to wash costumes, build sets, iron costumes, hang them, dry them, perform everywhere. So I'm really standing on their shoulders. So I want to pay tribute to Mr. Bert Rose. And of course, Jackie Guy, when I came here, he ensured that we could not come to Liverpool without him joining us. We performed here in the theater, and we also taught a workshop in a studio space. As I was passing the space outside, I recognized it. And I remember some children had come to the workshop, and they were different ages, but we had a good time. We had a really good time. Coming back now, I feel that same spirit of connection. And I must thank Karen Gallagher and Andrea Vaz for being such exceptional hosts. The food last night was nice. They're always ready to answer my many questions on the phone, on WhatsApp, or via email. Thank you, Andrea and Karen, for making me feel so welcome. Yes, please. I must also acknowledge Bill Harp, choreographer, writer on dance, cultural commentator, co-founder of the Black E. His work has been legendary in linking the arts with participation and community engagement. At the time of the company's visit to Liverpool, his name was already spoken with reverence. I'd heard about him. His vision for the Black E continues to shape the way artists and communities connect, and it is an honor to be back in this space where his contributions are still alive and thriving through Karen and Andrea and the members of the team, even Anthony from Barbados. I made the mistake earlier of thinking that he had a Trinidadian accent. Whew. I was almost sent back home. I must also pause to pay special tribute to Jackie Guy, Uncle Jackie to me, a true authority on Jamaican traditional folk forms. He knew the songs, the drum patterns, the rhythms, the instruments, and when he taught, you could feel the weight of ancestral wisdom moving through him. And of course, he was living in England for some time, and he'd come back to Jamaica. And when Uncle Jackie comes back to Jamaica, you know Uncle Jackie is there. He had this big voice, the deepest baritone I'd ever heard. And when he spoke, the walls would tremble. I'm not lying. The walls would tremble because his voice resonated in that space. And then if he laughed, and he laughed from his toes. So you don't want Uncle Jackie to laugh at you. You want him to laugh with you. His last work for the company was Bankra in 2013. And is a lasting testament to his artistry. Beyond choreography, he shared knowledge in phone calls, in emails, always encouraging me to pay close attention to what mattered. For me, he embodied what Professor Nedford often described as the living archive of a people. He had an extraordinary memory, like Bert Rose. Bert Rose never forgot anything. I would always go to him to ask him questions, and he would give me the back story, the front story, the side story. He knew everyone and everything. I'm going to share with you this morning an excerpt of Jackie Guy's last work on the NDTC, and it was a lot of fun to perform. And if you look carefully, you will spot the younger version of myself. We can talk about it later.
Balance,
Thank you. I'm happy you enjoyed it. At the end of the piece, and he do it every time, that he would do lick shot. When I was growing up, it was called lick shot. You put the index finger and the middle finger together, and you release it, and you go lick shot. So I want everybody to try that now. Lick shot for Jackie. Yeah, I didn't hear any sound from that side though. We need some more time to practice. I may have to lead a workshop in licking shot. But this morning, I also wish to dedicate this lecture to someone much closer to home, someone who shaped my life long before I stood on any stage. Her name was Miss Zetty. Can you say it with me? Miss Zetty. All right, an ancestor. She was an elder in my community, and I would often make the time to visit her, especially on Sunday evenings after church. I was only 7 years old, but I was enamored by her history, her insight, and her knowledge. She knew things I did not, and whenever I was around her, as she poured her stories and wisdom into me, I felt powerful and strong. I would often ask if I could pray for her health, as she with her gentle humor would call me her little pastor. I thought that was something between us until she told my mother. And every time she would see my mother walk into the shop, she would ask her, "Where's my little pastor?" It was no longer between us. The entire community knew. And that is how much she loved our relationship. I would often ask her about her family. Where did she come from? How did she get here? Who were her ancestors? At that tender age, I did not realize that I was beginning my journey into understanding roots, my own roots. Today, Ms. Zetty's home has made way for new families, but her memory continues to live with me. Through her, I learned that I had a history, a lineage, a people who existed before me, and we had to protect their knowledge, their stories, their wisdom, while other children played, and I used to romp a lot. I had more important things to do, to ask, to listen, to understand. And I also have a picture here of the younger me to share with you. I called my mother and I said, "Mommy, I'm doing a lecture. Can you send a photograph of me when I was 7 or 9? And she decided to pick one and send it. So that was me going to Ms. Zetty's yard regularly to sit with her and talk and to also pray for her health, because I did not want her to join the ancestors. I wanted her to live forever. And that early curiosity about roots, where we come from, what makes us who we are, has shaped my entire life as a dancer, as an educator, and as artistic director of the National Dance Theatre Company of Jamaica. Now, when I think of black dance, I think of a garden alive with color, scent, rhythm, texture. Some plants are ancient and deeply rooted, their roots stretching deeply into the soil. Others are fresh blossoms, radiant, daring, surprising. Yet, all are connected, drawing strength from the same earth, the same memory, the same rhythm. For me, the garden has always been the NDTC. Founded by visionaries Rex Nedford and Eddie Thomas, the company declared that Jamaica's dance, rooted in Africa and reborn in the Caribbean, was worthy of the world stage. Today, I stand before you as not only the artistic director of the NDTC, but as the Dean of the School of Dance at the Edna Manley College of the Visual and Performing Arts, carrying forward a charge bigger than myself. This morning, I want to speak about blooming and about how black dance blooms across generations as growth, regeneration, and vision for the future. Every bloom has roots, and in black dance, our roots are African. They are deep, spiritual, unbroken, even when history tried to sever them. In Jamaica, these roots are alive in Kumina, in Gere, in Revival, in Dinkimini, in Jonkonu. These are not just dances, they are vessels of memory, of survival, of spirit. They carried enslaved Africans through unspeakable suffering and horror, restoring dignity when the world sought to erase it. Marcus Garvey reminds us, a people without the knowledge of their past history, origin, and culture is like a tree without roots. I want you to say that with me. A people of their past history. All right, I could get a nice speech choir right here. When the NDTC was founded in 1962, the year of Jamaica's independence, its mission was to honor these roots by replacing them on the concert stage with integrity. Rex Nedford Kumina, choreographed in 1971, boldly declared that our roots matter. It insisted that the spiritual and the ancestral are not peripheral, but central to our identity. Dance in the Caribbean has been a weapon of cultural self-defense and a way of preserving the dignity of the human spirit, he said. Now, Kumina is a dance based on the Jamaica Afro ritual that is largely practiced in the parish of St. Thomas, that is to the east of the island. The ritual was brought to the shores of Jamaica by the Congolese as laborers after emancipation. And it is one of the strongest African retentions in the country. Now I'm going to show you a dance, right? So I'm going to show you an excerpt of Professor Nedford's Kumina, choreographed in 1971. And if you were looking closely, you'd have seen Professor Netterford dancing the role of Kumina King, and I had the distinct honor and privilege of learning the work from him directly. Ooh, I was so nervous doing it the first time. I can tell you that. And I thought to myself, but when Professor, when I go on stage, they're gonna looking for you. I'm gonna feel like an imposter. And he says, no, Marlon, no. And he taught me one other thing, and it doesn't have to do with Kumina itself. It's a very tiring work to do. It's very hard, very demanding on the body. And I would be so winded. And he says, Marlon, when you're tired, just sit backstage on a chair. So I said, sir, just sit? He says, yes. And you know where I learned that? I learned it in Africa. And I've never forgotten that. Even when I'm not tired, I am going to sit because Professor told me to. When you watch Kumina, you see the knowing body, what Netford called embodied knowledge. The drum, the songs, the movement, all converge to say, we are still here. The lesson of the roots is this: we cannot bloom without grounding. Black dance must always acknowledge the soil from which it springs. But roots alone do not sustain a garden. The bloom must come varied, radiant, ever-changing. The NDTC has always embodied blooming. Rex Netterford Garabenta choreographed almost 10 years later, transformed Jamaican wake rituals into a staged celebratory exploration of death, life, and transcendence. So again, I'm going to share another work with you, an excerpt of Garabenta. I know you're probably looking for me, but I wasn't in that one. In that particular work, sorrow and joy coexist. Grief is danced, not silenced. Yet so too is resilience and laughter. This is what Netterford described as contradiction as creativity. Black dance holds together mourning and celebration, resistance and release. Another moment of bloom came in Ritual of the Sunrise. The program note offers us a key insight. There is a force of exaltation, a celebration of luck, when a writer, read as an artist, finds himself or herself a witness to the early morning of a culture that is defining itself branch by branch, leaf by leaf, in that self-defining dawn. It is good to make a ritual of the sunrise. Then the noun, the Antilles, ripples like brightening water, And the sounds of leaves, palm fronds, and birds are the sounds of a fresh dialect, the native tongue. This note reminds us that the work is not only about hope or renewal in an abstract sense, it is about the joy and the urgency of a culture coming into its own. It frames the Caribbean itself as the dawn, every branch, every leaf, every rhythm, declaring a new self-definition. Now, this work was performed just recently at the 63rd season of dance and was performed on August 25 at Carifesta in Barbados. Yes, Barbados. And I'm going to share with you the finale, the closing section of this work. And I know my Eastern Caribbean friends who are here. My Eastern Caribbean friends are here? Yes? Yes, good, they're here. You recognize this song by David Rudder. So we're going to play a moment of the final section of the work for you.
Everybody come and celebrate. Everybody come and celebrate. See the ragamuffin congregate. Everybody come and celebrate. And everybody sing, hey, 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 hey. I love the country. But let me hear you sing, hey, 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 hey. I'm feeling Irish. Hey, 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 hey. I love the country. But let me hear you sing, hey, 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 hey. I'm feeling Irish. Oh, what Father who has given us His Son so we can all be a part of your heaven. Forgive us today our daily weaknesses as we seek to cast our mortal burdens on your city. On this lovely day when they come out to play and they come out to sway and be breaking away, some will say what they have to say, but only you know the pain we're feeling. And it was in the beginning of Tuesday, goodbye to Carnival Tuesday. Take it up. Everybody hand raised. Everybody get praised. Everybody hand raised.
I love performing that work, but you know I don't dance anymore, right? Ish. When I watch this piece, I see a parallel to our own task as dancers and choreographers to witness, to interpret, and to contribute to the culture as it defines itself anew. My reading is that Ritual of the Sunrise is both deeply spiritual and profoundly national. It is Jamaica and the wider Antilles finding themselves in movement, in music, in rhythm. It is here that I turn to Professor Nedford's words from an interview where he reflected that the artist's task is to interpret the society to itself. I love that. It is the artist's task to interpret the society to itself, to help it come to terms with its ambiguities, its tensions, and its possibilities. This is what blooming means in black dance, not merely performing, but witnessing and shaping identity as it unfolds. Today, blooming continues. In our most recent season, I spoke of that earlier, we premiered Bloom, On Earth as It Is in Heaven. The work is more than a new piece. It is itself a diasporic collaboration. The concept was my own. I literally wrote a script. As a Jamaican of African descent, the choreography was created by Avery Walker, an African American, and it was shaped in the collaboration with Radnel Marin Pedraza, an American of Afro-Cuban descent. 3 artists from different branches of the African diaspora, Jamaica, the United States, and Cuba, joined together by shared African roots. Each of us brought distinct histories of survival and creativity. Each of us carried rhythms shaped by enslavement, colonialism, and cultural resistance. Yet, in this work, those inheritances converged, creating a piece that embodies not only national identity, but diasporic unity. As Sorgel notes, and I quote, "Folk vocabulary still forms the base from which the NDTC's more experimental or abstract modern choreography evolves." I'm going to show you the second section of this work, Dance by the Present Company. I should tell you that we have 30 dancers, and some of them call me uncle. But we'll get to that later. Seen this way, Bloom on Earth as it is in heaven is not just a Jamaican work. It is a diasporic flowering. It shows that blooming is not confined to one soil, but is nourished across oceans, languages, and cultures. As artistic director, I see my task as nurturing this blooming, connecting the wisdom of our elders with the daring of the young. As Dean of the School of Dance, I cultivate the soil where new choreographers, scholars, and leaders can bloom. Nedved once said, "The job of the Caribbean artist is to interpret the society to itself." And I'd mentioned it earlier. It's such an important thing. The job of the Caribbean artist is to interpret the society to itself. That remains my guiding principle, even in my own choreography, as I continue to shape a choreographic language that speaks to my experience. And I'm going to share a short clip of my own work. I remember before I choreographed that work, Professor called me. I had spent 2 years studying dance in Texas. I was studying in Dallas. And I brought all my Jamaican experience to Dallas. But of course, Dallas made an impression on me. And when I went back home, my choreography shifted. And Professor and I was having a conversation. He said, "Marlon, I would like you to look closer to home. And that I did. And so I created a work called Homeland, not because I was paying close attention to my African roots, but I was paying close attention to my own experiences being in Jamaica, being a Jamaican, living the Caribbean experience, and how closely tied that is to my roots in Africa. And so I'm going to show you a short clip of that work. Blooming is not final. It is part of a cycle. After bloom comes regeneration, the process that ensures the garden endures. For me, regeneration means education. At the Edna Manley College of the Visual and Performing Arts School of Dance, we shape dancers who are not only performers, but thinkers, leaders, entrepreneurs. This is where the soil is enriched for future growth. It also means service. The NDTC has thrived for over 6 decades, not because of wealth or fame, but because of volunteerism and discipline. And I don't want that word volunteerism to just kind of slide over. None of the artists you see performing get paid. This is all voluntary service to the country. And that ethos is our lifeblood. Regeneration is also personal. I ask myself daily, how do I honor the legacy I inherited, while ensuring that what I leave behind is even more expansive? The future of Black dance depends on this, planting seeds in our students, our communities, and our audiences, so that new flowers will rise long after we are gone. We do it for those we will. Hey, welcome. I'm glad you come. You all right? Yes, just say comfortable. All right, nice to see you. Now, where was I? The future of Black dance depends on this, planting seeds in our students, our communities, and our audiences, so that new flowers will rise long after we are gone. We do it for those we will not meet. Marcus Garvey's reminder speaks clearly here. Emancipate yourselves from mental slavery. None but ourselves can free our minds. And so, my friends, I leave you with this charge. We are all gardeners of Black dance. Some of us are keepers of roots. I see H. Patton there, I see Beverly, yeah. Some of us are flowers in bloom. I see some of the dancers here. Where's my friend from Barbados? Some of us are preparing the soil for the next season, but all of us are necessary. Our responsibility is to plant seeds of resilience, water them with memory, and let them bloom with innovation. To resist the temptation to imitate when we can originate. I'm going to say that one more time. To resist the temptation to imitate when we can originate. To never forget the soil of Africa that anchors us, and to embrace the sunlight of the future that beckons us forward. Nedford reminds us, the body belongs only to itself. The language of the body is its own. As I close where I began with Miss, you remember her name? Miss Zeti. Zeti, I have a prize for you afterwards, you remember? She was the first to teach me that I had roots, a lineage, and a history worth preserving. I dedicate this lecture to her memory, for she represents what I hope for all of us, that we never lose sight of our roots, that we bloom in our time, and that we regenerate for those who will come after us. So I ask you, what will you plant? What will you tend? And what bloom will you leave behind for the next generation? To conclude this lecture, I'm sorry if you had come a little, this is the last part, but it's important, so I'm happy you're here. To conclude this lecture, I will share an excerpt from one of the works featured in our recently concluded season of dance. I want you to feel like you were at the season in Jamaica, and then next year I want to see everybody there. I'll take names. The piece is called Ascending and was choreographed by Crystal Fraser, whom I invited to create a work that bridges the diaspora while highlighting the undeniable influence of dancehall on the origins of hip-hop. In this choreography, she masterfully fuses hip-hop with Afrobeats, West African folk traditions, and the dancer's own vibrant expressions of Jamaican folk and dancehall. And the dancers really had a fantastic time doing it. We recognized over time that our audience was a particular demographic. And so we had to present a work that could connect with the present generation. The present generation was completely into Afrobeats and dancehall and hip hop. And so she gladly accepted the invitation. And I'm going to show you the last part of this work called Ascending.
As the sun goes down, be the star that lights my sky. And as we cross the river Jordan, give me hope that I'm not waiting in vain.
And diversity, equity, and inclusion. One of our dancers is deaf, but it was important to include members of our community because the garden that is our history belongs to everyone. Thank you.
It's gone off again. Oh, here we are. Thank you so much for that. It was just amazing. What's quite interesting is we talk about that last bit about bringing something back for the youth, and then you see the whole tradition and ancestry just still running through that piece as well, which is really fascinating. But I am just going to open for a couple of questions. If anybody would like to ask Marlon a question, I will come with the mic.
Hi, I'm Michelle Charters,
Hello.
the head of International Slavery Museum.
Oh,
Currently developing. the
I heard
museum.
about your hard work.
Yeah, well, not me, everybody. But one of the things that I've just written is opening 2029. So I'm saying today that I would like to see Karen, Ophelia, Maxine, yourself, and some representatives from Africa and American dance companies alongside UK to be part, hopefully, of that opening in 2029. So, let's talk, let's look at how we can do this through a funding bid to make sure that people are paid and don't just have to give their free time, even though they want to be part of what's going to be from the roots and the bloom coming together of International Slavery Museum's work over the last 30 years and your spectacular lecture and contribution from Jamaica. Let's make that link today, and I promise that, and I will reach that.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you.
Anyone else need a job? We've got some fabulous artists in from all over the country here today, so we'll make things happen. You're not allowed.
I just wanted to say all our artists are paid. That's why we ask for donations. We get funded by the Arts Council.
Okay, let's not bring that into the room. Thank you very much.
How did you start dancing and where did your passion come from?
Oh, when did I start dancing? I'm going to be completely honest with you. I did not know I had a talent in dance. I did a bit of Junkono when I was in primary school. I was about 10 at the time, and they wanted a Junkono band. And the way Junkono is done, you improvise, you don't get to learn dances. So that was my introduction to movements. And then I went to high school, and there was a dance club. And I said, I wonder if I can do it. And for those persons who know Jamaican dancehall music, there was a song at that time, it was very popular, called When by Tiger. Yeah. When, scene, come again. And I said, okay, the movements aren't too hard, I can do this. And I went to the dance club, and I must tell you, we learned something and we did something, everybody, and then they said, okay, fine, can everybody leave the floor now? And the males come forward. I was the only male. And I don't know, I just know my knees could not move. I was so nervous, completely frozen. But the dancehall, I said, win! And I did something. And they said that they'll call me. And when I got to the bus stop, to go home, one of the dancers came. And he came and he said, "You are so good." I know he was lying. He was lying. And then I got into the club, and the sole reason I got in was because they needed boys. And I remember when I first started dancing, it had spread across the school that I was in dance club. And everybody was like, "Marlon? Marlon can dance?" So everybody would come to the windows and watch us in rehearsal. But they weren't coming to support, they were coming to laugh. And they got a good laugh because I was struggling. But I made up my mind at that point that nothing will defeat me. Nothing is impossible. As God as my guide and the support of my mother and father who were behind me, they came to every performance. And because of that loving support, I just found myself loving it even more because I found a new community. I found new friends. And I found a kind of love that I had not known before in people, in cultures. And I just grew, my passion grew. And the more I recognized that I could do some things that were virtually impossible to me, I just kept going. And then I met wonderful mentors, some of whom I mentioned earlier. And then I recognized that the dance was much bigger than me. And that hopefully my contribution one day will be as invaluable as those who contributed before me.
One more question here.
Sorry, to add to that, how many years did you dance for?
I'm still dancing. So if that's a clever way of finding out my age, I'll tell you. All right, I started dancing at 14. I joined the company in 1999. And so collectively, my early beginnings to where I'm now, it's been 35 years.
Totally just doesn't look a day over 21. Going to come to you.
Hi. So this idea you have of like African roots dance and that being like a garden and that, it's like really fascinating. But I'm just wondering, like, did this idea sprout from like your idea, or is this like idea spread across the whole culture of like African roots dance?
Well, I was heavily influenced by the NDTC because, my first exposure was in high school. We have a competition called Jamaica Cultural Development Commission, and there are different genres of dance where you can enter as a soloist or a small group. And depending on the dance teacher you have, you get exposed to that genre. So my exposure to traditional folk dances really started from high school when we'd enter that category. And I recognized that I think I love this more than modern. I'm really connecting with it. I love the drums. I cannot hear a Kumina drum and not even move. I cannot hear Gere and not feel as though I have to relax my spine and do a corkscrew. And did I just start dancing? And because of what I felt was a natural connection, I just gravitated to it. So even when I choreograph modern dances, I'm always abstracting and distilling works that I'm familiar with or movements that I'm familiar with from traditional folk forms. It has to have a knot knee somewhere. It has to have a relaxed spine somewhere. It has to have a ripple. Because in everything I have to find myself, or there's a complete disconnection between myself and the work from even a spiritual place. I hope that answers your question.
Thank you. I'm just going to take one last question. I might try and squeeze in a Talia, but we're just running over the time a little bit, and I've got to move on to our next thing with Lavelle. So here we go.
Thank you. I just want to say thank you very much and congratulations on your presentation. It was most informative, and I'm only sorry that there weren't more dance professionals in the room to actually hear that history and thing. Two quick comments. One to the sister here. It's so important, the statement that you have made, because the support needs to be there. But the important thing to be able to bring across international artists from the Caribbean, from the Americas, from Africa, and link them with artists here, because very often the artists here are overlooked as well. And the importance of that is because even within the funding bodies, etc., they very often overlook the talent that has been homegrown, and they only focus on what comes from outside. And so I think to bring that together is important. I think there's a conversation that needs to happen between Marlon and Beverly, because the work that NDTC did in establishing the company and establishing the school, that is what IRI is doing here in terms of creating the foundation. But I think in terms of the other resources that you connect to, like the Cultural Commission, you know, all of that, the schools, the festival competition, etc., all of that can feed into the company. Unfortunately, we don't have that here in the UK. And that's something that we have to look at. How can we create the satellites that will then feed the companies?
Right.
Because there are courses now, but we're still having problems to find enough people to actually go into those institutions. And so therefore it will be very important for the young dancers coming up to see the professional companies outside that they might go to, because they can see that there aren't enough companies here. So that's very important. So I just wondered if you could say a little bit about the other institutions that you connect to, tap into, you know, like the ACIJ and Institute of Jamaica, all of those. How you work with them, because I know that you're very good at networking and bringing them together, and you in particular wearing the two hats as director of NDTC and the dean of the School of Dance. And the School of Dance is actually physically located within Edna Manley College, where you have all the arts brought together. Sorry, I know it's a bit
we got there.
Well, it's important to maintain connections with the institutions that support the arts. And the Ministry of Culture, Gender, Entertainment and Sport has been very supportive in terms of providing funding for companies to do their work. The Jamaica Cultural Development Commission is very good, as you say, in developing young talents and exposing them to the culture from a very young age. The competition is one way to drive that information into their minds. They get inculcated early to the culture through this competition. We are on a mission to really increase the number of dance teachers to go out into the schools to become those agents of the culture, so that every school that has an interest in the holistic development of a child can actually approach the college and try to get a teacher on staff. We also have a very good relationship with institutions that support culture. You mentioned the ACIJ, the Institute of Jamaica. Those are important. And I've always found that if you're sitting at the head of an institution and you have a particular charge, then you have to maintain those important relationships that help to sustain the art form, that help to sustain the sector, and also help to sustain the ecosystem. One of the things I try to make other directors clear about how I manage the NDTC and the School of Dance, they're separate, though they're related. The School of Dance was started by the NDTC, but I consider the School of Dance a neutral space. So my interest is with dance nationally, regardless of who I speak to. There is equity. And for me, there is space for everyone. So if it is that company members or leaders approach me about funding or making particular connections, I'm there for them. Because once they do well, the ecosystem does well, dance does well, the culture does well, and it's beyond me. And I don't believe in standing in anyone's way or in anyone's progress in terms of adding development and adding new voices to this space. So I help persons with referrals. I help persons with networking. I help persons with program planning. I help persons with curriculum development. I help persons with staff or human resource. And I'm not a one-stop shop. But what I find is that, and it was really Professor Nedford who taught me this, that in everything you do, you must have a generosity of spirit. And if you lose that, then you're putting a chokehold on the sector. And I believe in that, in having that generosity of spirit lead me in terms of my contribution to assisting everyone to grow. In fact, when I was studying in Texas, I had job offers, and I said, I don't want to be here pruning plants that have already been sown. I want to go home and dig hard soil. I want to be that farmer.
Thank you. I'm just going to give one final question to Atalia, because we do really need to get ready for our masterclass with Lavelle, who's sitting in the audience. You may want to just nip into the studio if you do so want to just prepare yourselves, just because we've been running over. But we've got the fantastic Lavelle Smith Jr. with us as well, who is, choreographer of Michael Jackson. You can go and learn some Michael Jackson moves, young man, next door. So final question to Atalia. I'm taking you, yeah.
Thank you, Karen. In my head, I've made it really short. Thank you so much for watering my joy, and I just feel so ready for today. Thank you so much. I knew you were going to do that. But I just wanted to ask, how do we engage? How do we come and visit you? What are the options of coming to something that you're doing? Do you run any programs where artists from, the UK can come to NDT?
All right, thank you so much for that question, and I love your interest. And we're open to assisting anyone with any kind of information or access that they need. The first way of reaching us is via email. We're on all socials. If it's one thing that COVID was a blessing in disguise, because we became more active on social media. We open a YouTube page. We are on Instagram. We are on Twitter. We're on, oh my goodness, let me mention all of them, because the social media manager will kill me if I don't mention all of them. We're on Threads. We're on all of them. And it's at NDTC Jamaica, at NDTC Jamaica. The company, as well as the school, we have assisted persons with research, curriculum development, traditional folk material, site visits, workshops, lecture demonstrations. So whatever you need, there is a way to access that, whether it is through the NDTC, it's ndtcjamaica@gmail.com, or at the School of Dance, email address schoolofdance@emc.edu.jm. And of course, if you did not catch that, I'm available all day and tomorrow. So you can reach me for any additional information you need. And please, don't be afraid to show your love by going on Instagram right now and following the National Dance Theatre Company of Jamaica. It's at NDTC Jamaica. So I'm looking forward to seeing you online, so you can stay up to date on what we are doing.
So one final round of applause, please, for Marlington. Thank you so much. And as he says, he's here all day. Conversations must continue. That's key. So I'm sure that will be fine.
I have a surprise for you.
Okay. Are you going to sing?
No. Never that. All right. I have, and could you please come, Miss Andrea, to the front? Yes, you as well.
We're getting gifts. We're getting gifts. Business cards. Can I just, while we're waiting, if you haven't picked up the schedule for the day, it's just outside. Oh my goodness. Signed.
All right. These books were written by Professor Netterford, and he died on February 2, 2010. And these books, his last book, let me say he joined the Dancestors, February 2, 2010. And this book came out in March 2010, a little over a month later. And so I thought, with this wonderful invitation, you two being so charming, so loving, so generous, so hardworking, so spirited, and so good with the selection of food on the menu. I just want to say thank you on behalf of the National Dance Theatre Company, and we wish to present you with a token of our appreciation for the invitation and the beginnings of what will be a long-lasting relationship.
I'm not sharing.
You won't find it in the Blackie Library, by the way.
Okay, everybody. So as I was saying earlier, the whole weekend really is about getting involved, listening, performing, participating. And this time round, we are both sort of local, national and international in terms of the artists that we're working with throughout the 2 days. We're really grateful for MD Productions, and they've brought Lavelle Smith Jr. Into our weekend. And so if you're interested in doing a little bit of Michael Jackson or whoever, because he's worked with Beyonce, Michael Jackson, Janet Jackson. The man is a dream, he's amazing. And he's going to be in the studio next door. So if you'd like to join in, please go along now. If you'd like to watch for a little bit, that's also acceptable. Or if you need to just come up to the gallery and just grab some refreshments, that's also acceptable. And we'll then be doing lunch at about 1:30. Thanks very much. Thank you.
Who here has ever seen a step in a class or an audition or a workshop, a step that you just like, oh my gosh, I'll never be able to do that. Me too, me too. And think about the end of the audition or the class, you're like, oh my gosh. This is one of those moments, kind of like weird stuff, but once you get it, it's in your body forever. That's why you still remember it. How old were you when you learned it? So like 13. You're 14 now. So nice. I started dancing when I was 13. I look at you, I'm like, let's go again. So that's sound. And, okay. Here we go. Not related at all. Okay, yeah, you had it like okay, now, but very similar problem. Well, you know each other, right? Yeah. Did people ever say that to you? No? Okay, I'm gonna be okay. Let's go again. Very nice. Can we change lines? I want to see everybody. You stay up here a moment. If you're short, yeah. Short like this, yeah. She's like, here we go, guys. Once you start this, it does not stop. So, we are here. Pull, pull. I think we go cross back, flick the wrist, turn, and get that back foot as far back as you can, because it's going to make your turn and the jump, which is the baby jump, a lot easier. Yeah? You bop. Yeah. So, when you land that, after that turn, when you land That's when the arms go out. Then they go down, right? So we got that. Don't worry, we'll do it again. Now, this part is. The neck goes to the left. These fingers again. Neck to the left. We're trying to make our fingers move like this. Left, and then we open to the other side. Flick the wrist up. Down. Bang. Bang. Your arm, once again, is making your head work. Yeah. Bang. Bang. We're really using the heel of our hand, right? Yes, ma'am. Yes. And you can take it moves. Yes. 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 And I have to say, you're very rigid. Scary. I like to be like that. And when I see somebody, I was like, dang, God. You did the whole thing. All right, let's go slowly from the pull. Here we go, you guys. Let's go. Actually, let's go back. Let's go from toe in out. Here we go. 5. Miguel, where'd you go? Ready? Here we go. I'm going to give you 5, 6, 7. We'll go toe. 5 and 6. Let's go slow. And 5, 6. Here we go. Ba, 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 ba. Heel, swirl. Step, pull, cross, and turn out, down. Now, there's a baby jump. I don't mean big jump, even though I love that. But time-wise, I don't have enough time to do that. So it's really more of a jump. Yeah. Yes. There's a beat in there, which you'll find. You'll feel it. So let's go back to that same spot. Here we go. 5 and 6. And 5, 6. Lower. Ba, da, da, da. Heel, swirl. Ba, ba. Pull around. Turn out, down. Ba, ba, ba. Hit. We can get that out. I'm so happy. Let's go slow. Yes. What? Huh? For what? Okay. See my face. Okay. All right. One more. Let's do music. Let's just go for it, you guys. We got it. Let's go for it. You want to go slow again? Okay, yeah. 4 minutes. We do it. 5 and 6 and 5, 6, and here we go. Da, 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 da. Heel, swirl, step, pull, cross, run, boom, da, ba, ba. So after your arms go down to your side, this one comes here, and this one comes up for the move. Yeah. Were you here last time? Yeah, I know it. But you got this. You went tall. What happened? Oh, yeah. There you are. Yeah, you got taller. Oh, I love that. Yes, it's yeah, and so think more, the body's going to follow, right? It's just going to go wherever the neck goes. So you do go a little bit, it's all about that neck. Neck. Yeah? Yeah. You know what I love? This dance is probably done way before most of you were born. And the fact that you're doing it just makes me happy. It's not what I was thank you. Question. Yes, let them bend. Old school jazz. Zoom, pop, bang. Yeah, bang. Yeah. So after pop, bang, bang. Yes, you're right. First we have neck, up, bang, bang. Good question. Any more questions? No? Yeah. Yes, ma'am. Yes, love you. Yes. Here we go from the top. Music, we'll do it a few times. And then we'll try to do smaller groups or half of this. Yes. time? One time, 2 times of music, and then half. You have time for that? 2 times of music. You have to. You never are. Let's do half now. Let's do half now. First half, yes. 2 halves, please. Yes. Come on down. Yes. I've seen you there. I know. Here we go. Second group. Here we go. Good job, first group. Start out to the sub room. Here we go.
You want me to, yeah?
Yes, please. Five, six, 7, 8. 1, 2, 5, So after the down, you come back. Boom. Yes, and this hand.
Guys, we want to get together.
Yeah, so it's like a robot. Like a robot. Beautiful.
Shake it off. If anyone wants to sit, we're going to have a little Q&A, or you want to go down together. Let's give them another big round of
Everybody, for letting me share with you guys.
That was like Adam Jackson in the room.
Anyone wants to grab a close to you,
It's amazing. It's such a short space of time, isn't it? This is kind of live streaming, so people are watching this all over the world. Now, obviously, I think you probably know more about Miguel than I do, but you know, when Miguel gifted us Miguel's time to be part of the African Roots Conference, obviously we grabbed his hand off because, you know, when do you ever get, you know, somebody who's worked with Beyonce, Michael Jackson, Janet Jackson, the list goes on, as a choreographer and a performer, having you in the space is just an absolute delight.
My pleasure. My pleasure. Thank you guys.
In our space and not found out a bit more about him, right? So has anybody got any questions for Lavelle if you haven't met him before?
Well, maybe anyone will go.
What inspires you
To choreograph? Oh gosh. Everything. It really does depend on the artist. I think I learned something that is really important very young as a choreographer. Like in my young choreographer days, is that don't give somebody a step because you like a step. Always give the artist a step that makes them shine. It's not about you as a choreographer. It really isn't. We'd like to think that, but it's really about the artist and making them look amazing. If they look crazy, then it's a reflection on you. So you want them to shine with their best. So I'm inspired by the artist, obviously, but anything, nature, animals, everything inspires me. Even somebody tripping and almost falling inspires me.
It's interesting if you were watching some of those performances, like the Dick Dinky Me, it's very much about falling over.
Yes, but being on the edge.
That's where some of those movements came from.
On the edge, yeah. Living on, dancing on the edge is really, I'm one of those dancers, I don't even understand the word marking it. Let's mark it, that's fine. Just do it. You mark it, it's not the same. I mean, sometimes you have to mark for spacing. There are times you have to. But when dancers like, oh, can I just mark it? Fine.
Something I want to say about connecting, so if anyone listened to the speech before, and Karen mentioned that the Blackie is 6 years old, so my child is at the back. So what is a full circle moment? We had an away day with the Blackie and Jeannie, so Michael's first visit to Liverpool, obviously, when he came to the Blackie, and then he went to the Empire, and my dad was here. So it's so funny that Lavelle is now here, and we're getting ready to be 60 years of the history and heritage. When we talk about roots and a full circle moment.
I like you guys, when I was 14, I was 14 when I first came to the Blackie, and I was introduced to a guy called Hoffman Soto, who was a San Franciscan artist who did outdoor choreographies, and that opened my eyes, again, talk about inspiration, to where you can perform anywhere. So we ended up in all these different buildings, and I took that with me when I used to run my dance organisation, that we would do dance outside, or dance in shop windows, or, you know, so something that you capture at a very young age can really, you take it with you, I think.
You do, you really do. And I'm thankful to you guys. You are the, like you talked about in this lecture, you are the seeds. You are the reason I do what I do. I share because knowledge without sharing it is just a waste. So that goes for you guys too. Whatever you learn from me, share with a friend, share with somebody. Anybody who's interested.
So I have it's a one question, but it's a few.
I love it. Go for it.
So, what have you ever had a really severe injury? Second of all, did it take a toll on your mental health? And third of all, how did you get through that?
Your accent, I love your accent. I love it. Where are we from?
Yes.
Really? That's a Liverpool proper. I'll never understand. No, I'm in Scotland. I asked the guy, I went to the hotel, oh, how do I get tomorrow? He's like, okay. I was like, oh, can you say that again? Very slowly. And I didn't understand it, but I'm going to learn it.
So he asked if you ever injury dancing.
Dancing, kind of one time I hurt my ankle in Japan, and we had 3 days off. So Michael got the doctor, they acupunctured me, electric shock, made my muscles jump, put some burning things on there, but I was fine by showtime. So, but yes, that was the only time.
So then he said anything about when you have to recover with your mental health.
Gosh, you know what? I think that my mental health, by the grace of God, has been fine until recently. I buried my mother April 5th, and I've seen my friends go through it, and I saw my mother go through it with my grandmother, and I tried to prepare, because you know what's going to happen. Nobody lives forever, and it's a day that, gosh, worst day of my life. Buried my father last year in October, so it's like 2 parents in 5 months. So it's a lot. So it is, and I can't, yes you do. You feel, driving from the funeral, I felt the world looked different to me. I don't know how, but it looked different. And my place in it felt different. So mental health wise, yeah, I'm dealing with things now, but you know what? Work and things like this bring me such joy and sharing and communicating with you guys and, back and forth with sharing knowledge. It gets me through. I'll be fine. But yes, if I ever thought that I was invincible, and yes, I did. I know now that I am human. I'm human.
It's a great question then.
A beautiful question.
Any other questions from the back or anything?
And thank you for letting me get that off of my chest.
Yeah.
I want to ask, I love my job, I want to ask how it was to work with him and see how he got to such big success.
I love Michael because he, even though maybe in his father you can see eye to eye on everything, but he would always say to me, well, I wouldn't be Michael Jackson if it wasn't for Joe Jackson. People can say whatever they want about Joe Jackson, he said, but that man made us who we are. He made the Jackson. So, but yeah, Michael, just really genuinely, you have Hollywood nights and you have people who are genuinely good people. Yeah, he's genuinely a good person, cares about everybody. Are you okay? Asking people. But amazing to work with. Pushed me to the limits that I didn't even know. I didn't know I could choreograph, honestly, I didn't know. And, but he was pushing me to be better, the best I can be, which is what I hope I can do for you guys.
And interestingly, my friend's upstairs, where you'll all be going very soon to eat. And she is the mother of Marsha Ambrosius. And Marsha Ambrosius wrote the song Butterflies. And
Oh my God! Also, she's part of Flowetry. She's part of
Flowetry.
Whoa!
Oh my God! She's just dropped a whole album.
Oh, I gotta see. I gotta get it. Butterfly blew my mind.
We're going to take one more question, then we're going to stop.
I love it. Oh, I love it.
Yes, I'm wondering if you would be interested in collaborating with other artists.
Yeah, you know what? It's so weird that when you work with Beyonce, Michael Jackson, Prince, Rolling Stones, I mean, you feel like you're legends, Diana Ross, legends. It's kind of hard to say yes to just anybody. But the person that I would like to work with, I'm putting out there in the universe now, Lady Gaga, for some reason, I think it's just a good spirit. Not afraid to be herself, not afraid to say what she wants to say through her body and through her voice. So yeah, that's somebody I'd like to work with. I'm sure there's others that I can't think of right now.
Did you say artists or art forms?
Art forms.
Art forms.
Oh, art form. Oh gosh, you know, I find art in everything. I do like to paint. I'm pretty cracked, but I like it. It relaxes me. I used to play. I studied violin, Suzuki method, from 4 years old to 8 years old. I was a gymnast from 5 years old to about 13 when dance happened. Yeah, I find art in everything. I love expression, and I love people who are not afraid to express themselves. So yeah, art form, I love it all. Music, but without, yes, we can dance without music, but isn't it nice to have a great song to dance to? So I love all the art forms. What about you?
It's wonderful to hear because I play the music. I play the oud, which is a string instrument.
It's the oud. That is such a cool sound. It's bizarre. How long have you played? Whoa.
I just won a contest in Manchester for my first original song.
Congratulations. Original song. You can. Yes, I mean, art is art, right? It really is, and it brings so much joy to other people, but it also gives the artist pleasure too. You know, not that somebody's looking at it, but just to create it feels good, doesn't it? Yeah.
On that note, art is art.
Art is art.
I'm going to stop us there, and we are back at 2 o'clock for panel discussions and then more workshops in this space after that. But there is some lunch if you want to get some lunch, so upstairs in the gallery.